Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TV. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories at this hour. The House of Representatives released a rotational presidency bill for debate. Trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu adjourned to May 21st and June 2nd at resumed hearing today in Abuja. And Libya's unrest escalates as militia leaders killing sparks intense fighting in Tripoli. Details shortly. Let's begin the news at this hour by telling you with legislative matters. The House of Representatives on Wednesday relisted for debate a bill seeking to alter the 1999 Constitution to adopting rotation of the offices of the President and Vice President among the 6 geopolitical zones as from 2031. The private member legislation, which was sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, seeks to foster national unity, cohesion, integration, promote fairness, and ensure equitable representation of all regions of the country. Kalu proposed an 8-year tenure for each geopolitical zone, ensuring that all regions have a turn in leadership positions. By providing constitutional backing for rotational leadership, the rotational presidency bill seeks to reduce regional agitations, perceptions of domination and marginalization while promoting peaceful coexistence. And now to discuss this, we're joined by public affairs analyst Francis Chilaka. Mr. Chilaka, very good to have you join me and good afternoon to you. Let's just get started. How might the institutionalization of a rotational presidency affect the power dynamics among Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones?
Well, already we're already practicing it. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria, the political class has tilted towards rotational presidency between the north and the south. So it's not new. I think the only thing they want to do, which makes a lot of sense, is that since we've been practicing this thing, let us formally agree to it as a people. Now we need it, but I have my own fears with it. The fears I have with it is the fact that in as much as they say it wants to create harmony and all of that amongst the Nigerian people, I feel that
we seem to have lost Francis Chilaka, the public affairs analyst, to give us a bit of insight following rotational presidencies moved by the House of Representatives. Now, in a major political shake-up at the National Assembly, 3 senators from Kebbi State have now defected from the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). Now, this comes as the Senate grapples with renewed security concerns in the northeast. News Central's National Assembly correspondent Agir Ibrahim has the details from Tuesday's plenary. Take a look.
As plenary commenced, the Deputy President of the Senate, Barrel Jubrin, who presided over the day's sitting, read separate letters from the 3 senators announcing their defection to the All Progressives Congress. The lawmakers, Adamu Alero from Kebbi Central, Yahya Abdullahi from Kebbi North, and Garba Meidoki from Kebbi South, cited unresolved internal crisis, prolonged litigations, and deepening divisions within the PDP as reasons for their exit, stating that the APC presented a more viable political platform. In his response, Barrow welcomed the defectors, describing their move as a signal for the APC's growing strength ahead of future elections.
So it shows that there will be a lot of successes and victories for the APC in the future. Nigerians are beginning to understand what progressive ideology means.
We say it every time that once we're in this hallowed chamber, it will not matter what party you belong to. What will matter to you is overriding public interest.
The Senate also considered a motion of urgent national importance raised by Senator Muhammad Tahir Munguno representing Borno North concerning renewed terrorist attacks in Borno and Yobe states. The motion prompted calls for immediate deployment of troops and state-of-the-art military hardware to the affected areas to stem the resurgence of Boko Haram.
Insurgents have employed more modern technology, including the use of drones, to unleash attacks on villages and communities in the states.
It's not only in Borno and Yobe, but Adamawa inclusive, and we are feeling more recently Adamawa.
All the military high command to swiftly redeploy sufficient personnel to the northeast. Those in favor of the prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate mandated its Committee on Army and Air Force to ensure compliance and follow up on the deployment directive. Attention then shifted to another motion on the urgent need to amend the composition of the Federation Account Allocation Committee to include representatives of local governments and area councils. The motion, sponsored by Deputy President of the Senate and presented by Senator Issa Jibrin, sought to ensure that local councils are actively represented in the national revenue sharing process.
In light of the current position of the Constitution, as interpreted by the Supreme Court, it has become imperative that a representation of local government councils per state and area councils be nominated to represent their interests at FAC.
It's only the local government councils and the area councils that are not represented. So they don't know precisely what is happening.
It will enable those who are going to be part of the sharing formula to be at the table, for them to know what exactly is being shared and what and why this is being allocated to us.
Whoever has a hand in the federation account should be a participant when sharing is taking place.
The motion received overwhelming support from lawmakers who emphasized that direct beneficiaries must be part of the decision-making process when allocating national revenue. In Abuja for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
And thanks to Sagir Ibrahim for that report. We'll bring him shortly on this bulletin. But in the meantime, we told you earlier that the House of Representatives on Wednesday today relisted for debate a bill seeking to alter the 1999 Constitution to adopting rotation of the offices of the President and Vice President among the 6 geopolitical zones as from 2031. Now, earlier, public affairs analyst Francis Chilaka joined us to give his insight on this, and he joins us now. Mr. Chilaka, earlier as we were talking about what it means for this bill to be institutionalized. But let's also talk about potential implications for political party primaries as well, if the bill mandates regional zoning at the federal executive level. And we saw this happen with the PDP and Wike in 2021. Your take?
Yeah, well, like I said, earlier, that the political parties have been practicing it in one way or the other. They've been practicing rotational presidency, but the thing is that rotational presidency has a flaw, and nobody's looking at that flaw. That flaw means that if it is zoned to the southeast, and anybody the party brings up automatically would become the flag bearer of the party, and if possible, win the elections. So I think that yes, in doing that, we must also put a caveat that ensures that people with honor and proven integrity, not just anybody from any zone, but we must look at it holistically and ensure that you can have a system where the minimum qualification to become a president is school cert. And then the minimum qualification to be a director in a ministry is first degree. Something is wrong. So while we're talking about rotational presidency, we must also talk about, the qualifications that goes with that, so that we know that we're taking two things at the same time. Rather than just say, no, rotational presidency, good, approved, anybody can be. But no, we also need to set the parameters right, so that we know that at the end of the day, we'll have the right persons occupying the office of the presidency of Nigeria.
So you believe enforcing a rotational presidency could unintentionally weaken meritocracy and party ideology in favor of ethnic or regional bargaining?
Definitely, because at the end of the day, we'll end up having the same thing we've had so far, which is money politics. So the man who has much money may not have the requisite qualification, but because he has money to throw around, he wins the ticket, and at the end of the day, you still have a mediocre as your president.
So how then can we balance this then? How then can we balance, getting the marginalized regions, access to federal, to this federal executives offices that we see? How can we balance that and also at the same time balance meritocracy? Is that not saddled on the political parties to then vet their candidacies and be sure that whoever is coming to clinch that ticket for the presidency and the vice presidency tick all the boxes? We seem to have lost Mr. Chilaka. We'll bring him on for subsequent discussions. In the meantime, the Nigeria Senate has passed for second reading the budget proposal for the Federal Capital Territory for the 2025 fiscal year, totaling over 1.7 trillion naira. Senate leader Michael Okpeyemi Bamidele moved for the second reading of the FCT appropriation bill at the resumption of plenary on Wednesday. During the ensuing debates, lawmakers voiced their opinions and expectations for the FCT's development under the proposed budget. Senators like Peter Nwamboyi and Adamu Alairo raised concerns about the proliferation of illegal settlements, but particularly along the airport road, emphasizing the need to create a positive first impression for visitors. Other senators, including Abdul Ningi and Idiat Adebule, called for the FCT minister's initiatives to extend to sectors like education and security. Adams Osromole advocated for providing amenities in low-income areas to prevent the growth of slums, while lawmaker Victor Ume urged the minister to address the high cost of land by developing new districts. Senate President Godswill Akpabio commended the FCT minister and also praised President Bola Tinubu for appointing Nyesom Wike to the FCT portfolio to implement the Renewed Hope agenda. Joining us now is News Central's correspondent Sagir Ibrahim joins us for more update on this. Sagir, I mean, so much has happened in plenary from yesterday and today, both at the red and the green chamber. But let's start with this commendations for the FCT and their budget at 1.7 trillion naira. What more can you tell us about this development?
Oh, good afternoon, Judith. Thank you very much for being on the news. The first thing I must say is the FCT seems to have gotten a lot of money in terms of appropriation this time, and it's quite obvious the reason why. You go around the FCT, and I know it sounds cliche, but the fact remains that the minister seems to have converted the Federal Capital Territory to a construction site of some sort. Go about seeing projects like bridges, renovation of certain facilities, and the likes of that. And it might interest you to note that, some of these renovations, some of this construction, some of this commissioning is going on not just within the city center alone, but also, in the remote communities across the different area councils here in the Federal Capital Territory. So 1.7 trillion naira, out of which 1.2 trillion has been earmarked, for these capital projects. The senators are saying, well, as much as it is a lot of money, as much as they believe that the FCT minister will deliver in terms of bringing the dividends of democracy to the people, of delivering the Renewed Hope agenda to the people, it's still important for them to bring to his attention the need to address certain concerns, top of which, of course, includes insecurity. It's no news that insecurity in the FCT has been a thing of worry for most residents. Talk about the activities of one-chance operators. Talk about the activities of those who, operate within these satellite communities, carrying out kidnapping for ransom activities and the likes of that. They are saying it's important for the FCT minister to, take out of this 1.2 trillion naira capital, expenditure budget to focus on insecurity, to focus on things like education. They complain about the dilapidating nature of the education system, not just in Nigeria, but also in the FCT. So they are calling for more focus, to be upon these different sectors. They went as well to discuss other issues, especially bordering around the illegal settlement within different parts of the city that has given rise to the development of certain slum communities. I mean, it's no news to a lot of individuals that from time and time again, they've been carrying out demolition across different parts of the city. The Senate is saying, well, if part of this budget is put into developing infrastructure, providing amenities, especially in low-income areas, perhaps they would see, a reduction in the development of these slum communities across different parts, of the FCT. And very importantly, one of them also raised the issue of the rising cost of lands and landed properties here in the Federal Capital Territory, which he attributed, of course, to the shrinking amount of spaces available for construction, due to the fact that for a very long time, no new district has been opened. A lot of areas still remain, undeveloped, especially in other parts of the area councils within the Federal Capital Territory,
right,
not just in the city center. So they are calling for be placed on education, more focus to be placed on insecurity, and more focus not just on the development of infrastructure within, the environs of the Federal Capital, that's the city center, but
right,
other parts of the FCT as well.
So here, I wonder if they also put into factor there that sometimes development can be hindered when when the price of development itself, and that's whether it's cement or building materials, have got shot up through the roof, or whether or not people can afford to actually develop property in a place like Abuja. But again, we also saw defections on the floor as well. 3 senators defecting from the PDP and now to ruling APC. Very quickly, I want you to touch on that before we go. We've seen these numbers risen over the last 2 months, and not only in Kebbi State, but also other states as well. We've also seen governors as well. What does this mean when we're seeing this defection? What's driving it? Is it ideological differences? Or would you say it's internal party crisis or just political survival at this point ahead of 2027? Quickly.
So before I question Judith, I'll first start by stating that I attended plenary today and the opposition aisle seemed even more scanty than it used to be before. Of course, this is because not just the fact that these 3 senators defected from Kebbi State just 24 hours ago to the All Progressive Congress, but also the fact that more lawmakers, even more of them, have been defecting to the All Progressives Congress. Considering this, there has been concerns. Why is the defection taking place right now? Well, some would say it's because of 2027. Some would say it's a fight for self-preservation. Others would say it's also the need to ensure representational governance is achieved at the highest level as possible. But whatever the reasons are, what we can say and what we can do at this point is to report these defections and to report that these lawmakers are stating that they've moved, from the opposition party, as the case may be, now to the ruling party. It is now left to be seen the nuances and the ways that this defection is going to affect the delivery of their responsibilities to their constituents. Well, we are hoping that it's going to be in the betterment of the lives of their constituents, and if not, we'll definitely be here to report these developments to the world and, of course, to Nigerians to see.
Well, I trust you, Zagir, to do justice to that reportage. Many thanks to you, Zagir, for all the hard work from yesterday and today, and we hope to see more from you following tomorrow as well. Zagir Ibrahim, our National Assembly correspondent all the way from Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. Let's go on our first short break, shall we? When we return, Governor Okpelo vows no retreat and fight against courtesan in Edo State. After the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. The high-profile trial of Biafra separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu has been adjourned to 21st of May and continuing into the 2nd of June. The trial, which resumed today at the Federal High Court in Abuja, witnessed key developments as proceedings continued. The session opened with the prosecution making a fresh request to ask an additional question to the witness, identified only by the codename Triple B. The court granted the request following the witness to present allowing the witness, to present a medical report outlining the cause of death of political aide Ahmed Gulak. Following this, the defense team launched into a cross-examination of the prosecution's second witness, pressing for clarity and challenging the evidence presented. After hearing both sides, the court adjourned the trial. Nnamdi Kanu faces charges linked to terrorism and incitement.
The cross-examination of BBB started today and went on smoothly, but the defense got to a point where they needed documents to confront the witness, and those documents have been applied for. The CTC have been applied for, but not obtained yet. So based on that, an adjournment was granted to the 21st and 22nd of May, and we pray and hope that we'll get the documents so that we will continue with our cross-examination. So that's essentially what happened.
And off to Rivers State, after over 7 weeks of emergency rule in the state, there seems to be no concrete steps towards resolving the crisis between the feuding parties. Ahead of New Central's Town Hall series in the Rivers State capital, Port Harcourt, on Thursday, our correspondent Biola Festus takes a look at the genesis of the crisis and the people's perspectives. Take a look.
On May 29, 2023, Mr. Similala Yefubara was sworn in as a democratically elected governor of Rivers State. At the ceremony, his predecessor and now FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, left no one in doubt about how pleased he was that his anointed candidate was succeeding him. Given the father-son relationship dynamics displayed by the duo at the time, it was hard to predict that a rift would soon emerge.
We're doing everything to make sure that we still stand
However, 6 months into his administration, Fubara and Wike fell apart, leading to a split in their camp. While Fubara accused Wike of desiring to control the state's treasury, Wike also accused Fubara of attempting to dismantle his political structure in the state.
It must impact on your people.
There is a reason for all this crisis, and that reason is the control of the resources of River State.
The rift escalated and left the state's lawmakers divided, with the camp loyal to Wike moving to impeach Governor Fubara. However, on the eve of the planned impeachment, a section of the River State Assembly complex was engulfed by fire in a suspected arson attack.
Fellow Nigerians,
despite President Bola Tinubu's mediation efforts, the face-off between Wike and Fubara deepened.
What they want is this red title. He's still with me. They have failed.
On March the 18th, an explosion rocked the Trans-Niger pipeline in Ogoni axis of River State, which proved to be the final straw that broke the camel's back. Later that same day, the president declared a state of emergency in the state and suspended Governor Fubara, citing potential breakdown of law and order in the state.
There have been disturbing incidents of vandalization of pipelines by some militants without governor taking any action to curtail them. As it is, there is no government in River State.
Since then, there have been protests and counter-protests in the streets, either for or against President Tinubu's decision. Amidst the political storm, ordinary citizens, especially those without political affiliations, have been hit hardest.
The issue of declaration of a state of emergency in River State has been dealt with sufficiently. Those for and against have expressed their views. But the most important thing now is for us to move forward. How do we secure the peace in order to maintain good governance and ensure that dividends of democracy are delivered to River's people?
One of the mandates given to the River State Administrator, Vice Admiral Ibas, by the President was to restore peace and stability in the state.
My dear citizens of River State.
However, 7 weeks later, the political crisis remains unresolved.
What has the sole administrator done since he came here? What he has done since he came here was to go far and wide beyond the mandate that he was given, to go and dissolve all the government-established institutions. The president can end this whole quagmire political struggle, political imbroglio in less than 30 minutes. And how would he have done that? Call the minister who is under your own employment. Tell him, Mister, you have been the governor of this state for 8 years. Now someone else is there. Stop your interference with governance in River State. You call the assembly, say, Assembly, make sure you work with the governor, and I don't want to hear this noise anymore.
Right now, this has created a serious setback for us. Rather than thinking of making progress, all we see are just but daily battles that are very, very unnecessary.
After all is said and done, the people of River State, who are mostly at the receiving end, want things to return to normal in the state.
Everybody wants peace and progress, so but at what cost? If there's progress and some people are being marginalized, then of course that is not real progress. But the real progress is the state moving forward and the resources of the state being used to move the state forward.
Many across Nigeria have tagged the Wike and Fubara rift as a father and son misunderstanding. Now with Wike willing to forgive the suspended governor on the basis of genuine repentance and the governor open for peace talks, the question remains, who will initiate the peace talks? In Port Harcourt for News Central, Biola Festus.
And away from River State now to Edo State, where the government has reiterated its commitment to eradicating courtism in the state. This was as the governor, Monday Okpolo, received youths from the 3 senatorial districts of the state on a peaceful rally in show of support for his war against cultism and the enforcement of the state's anti-cultism law. The governor regretted the destruction of lives and properties meted out on innocent citizens of the state by suspected cultists, saying that the state government will not relent until the menace is eradicated.
One thing at every point in time that is coming to my heart is, if I was killed as a youth, if I was in any way shot at and I died, will I be a governor today? No! So for that reason, every Edo blood matters. Whatever intimidation, whatever means they are doing to not stop me. Yes. We must continue to fight on until we stop it. I'm not afraid of them. Edo people are not afraid of them. The government of Edo State are not afraid of them.
And youth leaders across the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State, we are here today to campaign against cultism and drug abuse. And to also let you know and let the whole world know that today, as the strength of Edo State, as the most populated demography of Edo State, we cover 65 to 70% of the total population of Edo State. That we are with you, Your Excellency, the governor of Edo State, against the fight against cultism.
I want to say to the price and the Edo State government house that this movement is apolitical. This is youth from the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State, Edo North, Edo Central, Edo South. We are tired of the killing. Augusta, before you came to office, cultism is a ritual. I mean, the cultist killing is a ritual. We have lost a countable number of youths to cultism. And we are here to say enough is enough. Whatever stringent measures you want to take, because we see it on the media that some persons are foiling it as though you are doing the wrong thing. We are saying we are behind you. Yes, whatever measures you want to take to curb cultism, take it.
Still in Edo State, where Governor Monday Okpebholo has pledged to champion the re-election campaign of President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 presidential elections. Okpebholo, while receiving the South-South Monarchs Forum at the Government House in Benin City, urged the monarchs to support the president and help tackle insecurity in their domains. He urged the traditional rulers to take responsibility for the security situation in their areas and report the activities of suspicious elements to relevant authorities.
I want to beg the traditional rulers to help the president, to support him, because most of these problems we have in this country, they are coming from home. You see foreigners coming into your community, you don't know them. You need to call to find out who are they, what are they looking for. Report to the appropriate authorities so that we know how to monitor those people. With this, all this insecurity will reduce drastically, because I know that the traditional ruler really, for me, have a major role to play when it comes to community policing. This area of insecurity are area that I'm actually really begging the traditional ruler to cooperate with government so that we can move this country forward. President Tinubu has done so much for this country. There are bold steps that he has taken that is difficult for ordinary person to take. This is one of the reasons that South-South will say, yes, this is our own. We must support him. So for me, I said, the second term of Mr. President is non-negotiable.
Your Excellency, the South-South Forum, during this very first visit to you, is pledging its full support to your administration whenever you may require its input. We do so in this confidence that the capacity pool of our institution in modern times have matured to cover almost all the skills required for progressive governance. The South-South monarchs are ready to stand by you because you have demonstrated capacity to revive the hitherto dwindling fortunes of the state. History shall judge you kindly and celebrate the great steps you have initiated in the 7 months of your administration.
In response to growing complaints, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board will hold a high-level review meeting on Thursday to assess the conduct and outcome of the 2025 UTME. The decision comes amid protests and widespread dissatisfaction from candidates and their families following the release of results last Friday. Many are claiming technical glitches, inconsistencies, and unusually low scores. In a notice issued by JAMB, the board stated that it is taking the concerns seriously. The upcoming review will bring together vice-chancellors, provosts, rectors, school principals, examiners, and technical experts to examine the entire examination process. The UTME is a vital step in securing admission into Nigerian tertiary institutions, testing nearly 2 million candidates each year in subjects tied to their chosen fields, including the compulsory use of English. This year, over 1.5 million of the 1.9 million candidates reportedly scored below 200 out of a possible 400 score, a statistic that has sparked concern among education stakeholders and prompted urgent calls for transparency and accountability. Away from education, as the Apapa port in Lagos has maintained a dominance over other Nigerian ports. This dominance negatively impacts balance and efficiency in maritime operations in the country. And so to address this, reforms are needed to improve efficiencies, and reduce congestion, as well as encourage the utilization of other ports, potentially through infrastructure upgrades, incentives, and streamlined processes. Our maritime correspondent, Inioma Obiasulo, examines the interventions deployed after News Central last report on the ports. Take a look.
For the Nigerian ports to be competitive and efficient, stakeholders say structural failures and dominance of the Apapa port must be addressed. They say these failures and dominance has contributed to the hike in haulage costs at the Apapa port, which has brought huge disparity in haulage costs, with other ports impacting on competitiveness. The immediate past National Sole Administrator of the Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents speaks on the prompt intervention of the Nigerian Ports Authority after News Central's report on the situation.
I want to say the management of Nigerian Port Authority, I guess based on your expose, moved in. Even the truck transit park, the concessionaire or the consultant, whatever they call them, has made some adjustments. And I want to say here, without any fear of contradiction, that we've seen a lot of some marginal improvement. About 6 weeks ago, to move a container load from Apapa to the environment is 1.2 million. Right now, it has dropped to about 400, 500. So you can now see that these are man-made issues. The TTP has stepped forward based on the request of the freight forwarders that we hold the cargo on behalf of our clerks. Okay, we should have the access to decide when we want to pick the cargo, not the haulage companies that will take the slot, hold it, and sell it. So with that change, the movement of cargo out of the port is now tied to terminal delivery orders, which means it is when I have things to do that I can lock the access to a particular transaction. Before, it was an open-ended. The truck owner can have 200 units of access, and yet they have no business in the port. And when you really have the business to do, you need to go look for who has the access, because it's being regulated. If there's going to be 200 access to the port in the next 4 hours, somebody has mopped it up. And when like 5-10 people really want to pick their truck, their cargo, they need to go look for who have the access.
The economic impact of this hike on businesses and final consumers amid the hardship experience in the country are serious concerns that needs immediate attention. In the days ahead, it's expected that these prices will further drop to be at par with other ports and by extension bring about a reduction in the price of goods to final consumer. However, when this is achieved, the hope of industry watchers is that the cabal will not rise again. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Coming up, Amnesty International urges UN to renew South Sudan arms embargo. We'll tell you all about this and plenty more just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. Tripoli has witnessed its most violent clashes in years following the killing of a prominent militia leader that triggered fierce fighting between rival armed groups. The unrest, which began Monday night and continued through Wednesday morning, erupted after Abu Ghana Kilin, also known as Ganiwa, was killed. His support, or rather his group, the Stabilization Support Apparatus, was swiftly overpowered by factions aligned with Prime Minister Abdul Hamid al-Bidab. The 444 and 111 brigades took over key SSA territory, reinforcing Prime Minister's position and leaving the Special Deterrence Force as the only major force not aligned with the government. The UN mission in Libya expressed deep concern over the escalation in residential areas and called for an immediate ceasefire. Tripoli remains tense as the power balance shifts in the fractured capital. And off to East Africa, where human rights group Amnesty International is calling on the United Nations Security Council to act swiftly and renew the arms embargo on South Sudan, accusing the country of violating its terms. According to Amnesty, the recent deployment of Uganda's troops to South Sudan, along with military hardware, including armored personnel carriers and tanks, represents a clear breach of the embargo, which has been in place since 2018. The group says it has verified video evidence showing Ugandan forces arriving in the capital, Juba, on March 17th, raising concerns about escalating militarization in the region. The Ugandan parliament had earlier confirmed the deployment, stating it was at the request of President Salva Kiir to prevent what was described as a potential security catastrophe. But Amnesty argues the move undermines the fragile peace deal signed in 2018, which ended a brutal 5-year civil war between between President Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar, conflicts that claimed nearly 400,000 lives. And off to Zimbabwe, where the trial of Zimbabwean journalist Blessed Mhlanga has yet again been postponed after he appeared in court in Harare on Wednesday. The postponement followed a request from the prosecution to link his case with that against his employer, the Heart and Soul television channel. The 45-year-old was arrested over interviews he conducted with a former ruling party stalwart who called for President Emmerson Mnangagwa to step down. Mhlanga's detention was swiftly criticized by rights and media groups and added to fears of authoritarianism and repression in Zimbabwe. Speaking outside the court, his lawyer described the matter as a constitutional issue that should be dealt with by the Constitutional Court.
Today he comes for trial, and their position is that, oh, we are not ready for trial. We now have different papers to give him, so we want the matter postponed so that the court considers the marriage. Our position is that there's no law that forces two separate entities to be tried together, particularly if they do not want to be tried together. So since Blessed wants to be tried, his rights are being violated. He has spent 73 days in custody when they didn't want him out. They cannot now say they are not ready for trial when on the 30th of April they said they are ready and will try him today, and he was insisting on being tried today. If the same media house was able to give President Mnangagwa a voice when he was in hiding in South Africa, why should Blessed Geza not be given by the same voice? Why should media houses be afraid to do that? We believe that's a constitutional issue that should be dealt with by the Constitutional Court.
President Donald Trump has arrived in Doha, Qatar as part of his Middle East tour. Trump is expected to discuss regional security and economic cooperation. His visit comes amid bipartisan criticism over a potential gift of a luxury Boeing 747 from Qatar, raising ethical concerns. Trump's Middle East trip aims to strengthen alliances and address key issues in the region. Israel's military reported Israel's military reported intercepting a missile launched from Yemen on Wednesday, marking the second such incident in under 24 hours. The missile was fired by Iran-backed Houthi rebels, who have continued targeting Israel since the onset of the Gaza war in 2023. Sirens were activated in several areas and explosions were heard in Jerusalem, likely from the interception. A similar attack occurred on Tuesday, with Israeli forces intercepting another missile aimed at Ben Gurion Airport. Earlier in May, a missile from the same group struck the airport, causing damage near the main terminal and injuring several people. Oil marketers in Nigeria have warned that petrol prices would soar to 1,500 naira per litre if the federal government bans fuel imports amid speculation surrounding President Bola Tinubu's potential policy shift. While marketers argue that local refineries, including the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, may not meet demand, Dangote officials refute these claims, asserting they can supply local needs and export. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria emphasizes the necessity of imports to prevent price gouging by local refiners. Calls for government support to enhance local production capabilities continue as stakeholders seek to balance domestic fuel pricing with quality. Ogun State is finalizing preparations for the 22nd National Sports Festival known as Gateway Games 2025, set to begin Friday, May 16th in Abeokuta, with over 10,000 athletes expected from across Nigeria. The state has upgraded key infrastructure, including the MKO Abiola Sports Complex and major access roads. Solar-powered streetlights and city cleanups reflect the readiness of the host. The Torch of Unity is scheduled to arrive on Thursday, symbolizing the official handover of hosting duties. Kwaku Tando, the executive secretary of the local organizing committee, confirmed that Ogun is 99% ready, marking a significant milestone in the state's sporting history and boosting expectations for a successful event. Nice visuals there. But that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The House of Representatives has resumed debate on rotational presidency bill. The trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu has been adjourned to May 22nd and June 2nd at resumed hearing today in Abuja. And we also told you that Libya's unrest has escalated as militia leaders' killing sparks intense fighting in Tripoli. Now, do remember that if you see anything out there, make sure to send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, please follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 4221 Go TV now. Find us on channel 23. We're also on Star Times channel 274 on Apple TV as well. But better yet, you can stream us live on YouTube. And that's 24/7. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.